I like flipping through the old literature sometimes, looking for unique patterns, flies, or stories about the tires and the flies they used. And I found an interesting one in the 1942 December issue of Pennsylvania Angler magazine. It was by Dick Fortney, but it was based on an interview he did with a local tyer by the name of Howard Weaver of Williamsport. It was a simple article titled "Beards on Your Wet Fly," which wasn't a novel idea at the time. Plenty of Ray Bergman flies from the 1930s had what we would call beards or throats on them. But what caught my attention in the article was his description of the ideal wet fly, how he did the tail, body, and rib, then a couple of black and white drawings on how he did the throat and the wing. And one thing I found very interesting, he said one deadly variation of this was to use a hair for the wing, such as monkey or a capra. Now, I had to look up what a capra is. Turns out it's just a goat. I know what a monkey is, but I had no idea that people used to tie flies out of monkey fur. But sure enough, I looked in this 1954 Herder's catalog, and you could buy a monkey pelt in here for about $1.75. And I thought that was just fascinating. So today's pattern, there's really nothing that special about it. I'm calling it the ideal wet fly because it's what Weaver described when Fortney asked him, how would you tie your ideal standard wet fly? And this style really is very versatile. You could change up almost any of the materials to imitate almost any bug that lives underwater. And it was just a fun one to tie. So there it is in the vise, the ideal wet fly, per Dick Fortney in his 1942 article in Pennsylvania Angler magazine, but it is a pretty nifty little fly. Now I'm tying this on a size 10, so one extra long, one extra strong barbless wet fly hook. And I'm going to use some black thread. This is actually a 12/0, and believe it or not, I have run out of my standard 70 denier UTC. This is a Semper Fly nano silk, which is very slippery, very strong, but also slippery. But we'll make it work. And the tail on this, 3 fibers from a barred, mallard, teal, some kind of flank feather. Not 2, not 4, he said 3. So I'm gonna take exactly 3 and just kind of break them up. He said kind of long also. But he did mention if they get all wonky on you, he didn't say wonky, I don't know what they said back in 1942, but he said if they start going a little askew on you, don't worry about it. And do you really need to make sure you have 3 instead of 4 or 5? I doubt that matters either. But go ahead and catch these in, take your thread up front, let's catch a rib in. And he didn't say what to rib it with, just something. I'm going to use a wire. This is a silver incised brassy. I think it'll work just fine. Let's go ahead and catch this in all the way to the back. And for the dubbing, he said fur, not wool. For some reason, he did not want you to put wool on this thing, just fur. So I want to go with a rabbit here. And I'm going with a black, just because I kind of like a black, dark winter wet fly. This is probably going to take me a couple applications. If I can get a taper on this, I'll try, but if not, you know, just a nice fuzzy little body should be fine. Okay, we're getting a little bit of a taper, but let's go a little bit more. Get up there about 2 eye lengths back. And that's terrible. I got a big, huge lump in there. Let's see if we can't fix that. I'm gonna have to put a little bit more on here. Just go back over that thin area. Try to minimize that little bulb right there and see if we can't make this a little prettier. Okay, that looks a little better, not a whole lot better, but maybe we can, you know, squish that little fat area down with this rib. All right, that looks a little better. Let's go ahead and catch this off and then helicopter this wire off. Now here's what he said for the throat, or beard he called it, just hackle fibers. And he said no more than 30, which 30 is quite a bit. I think I probably got about 20 right here. But he said catch them in going forward, and then we're gonna flip them back. So let's put a couple wraps right here, and then take a look at it and see if that's going to be about the length we want. Want them down here to the point of the hook, close to it. That'll get us pretty close, so I think we're going to be fine right there. A couple wraps going back, and we can snip the butt ends right here. And now let's just fold these back right here. And it's a beard, you know, or a throat, so we want them on the bottom. Just kind of pull them down and back. A few wraps, take a look at it. Okay, yeah, I kind of like that. It's getting a little messy up here, but we'll be all right. Just fold these back if we can. We can always trim them or singe them later. Now the ideal wet fly does have a wing on it. And he said slips from a waterfowl quill feather. So I'm taking that to be duck. And I'm going with a natural. This is a natural duck. Got a left and a right one. And what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to try to get my length right, lay them down right on top, but I want them a little bit on either side. Not old school wet fly, but kind of like the picture in the magazine article. Just had them laying kind of low, a little bit on each side. So see that right there? That's really about what it looked like. So I'm going to go with that right there. A couple wraps to lock these in, and then snip off the front. Okay, got a little fuzz right there. I could either singe that, but I think I got enough room to bury it with my head. This is a 12/0, so it'll take quite a few wraps to get us a decent sized wet fly head, but go ahead and put them on here. Okay, that's enough of a head right there. I do usually like my wet fly heads a little bit bigger, but it was going to take me forever with this really thin thread, so we'll build it up with our head cement. All right, take a look. Do we have any cleanup? Well, I got some rabbit fibers going all over the place right there, but I think we're fine. I'm not really going to worry about it. I'm going to put a drop of head cement on this and put this thing in my wet fly box. So there you go, my friends. I appreciate you watching. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.